Happy or Merry Christmas Eve. Patrick here, have Cheetah will view. Um, yeah, I thought I'd better get up and do something since I've been pretty much a turtle all this week. Always is like that around Christmas time for me. But I thought I'd go ahead and do a couple of film reviews. And lately, me and the Cheetah, we've been sort of locked into TV a little bit. But we decided that we wanted to do some action and adventure. That's right. So we thought that we would watch and review 2018's The Debt Collector. That's right. The Debt Collector stars Scott Adkins as French and Louis Mandylor as Sue. And basically, the gimmick is that French is operated a dojo, a martial arts dojo, but he is not making any money, and now he's being now there's pressure being put on him to give up his lease to another chain, martial arts studios, and they're offering him basically next to nothing for it. Uh, well, he doesn't like that too much, so he fights off three thugs that are trying to intimidate him. He wins, but he's basically losing. He doesn't have any money. So he starts looking around, and he runs across a gentleman named Tommy, Big Tommy. And Tommy says, "Well, I do have a job for you because you got a great skill set, but you have to understand that this job is really, really rough, and you have to be sort of ruthless and heartless at the same time. You can't afford to have any soft moments. So I mean, you just can't. So basically, Tommy is going to give French a tryout as a debt collector for Tommy's operations. So Tommy loans money out to people, and then they have to pay him back. If they don't, well, they get a visit by generally they get a visit by either Sue or another gentleman another gentleman that French happens to know is his friend Alex. And so he says, okay, he'll go ahead and try it, give it a run. So he meets Sue, Louis Mandylor, who is he's an older gentleman. He's been through the wars. He's not a martial artist, but he's got a particular set of skills himself. He's been doing it for a very long time. And there's various different levels of debt that you deal with the people who owe money to. You could either talk to them, you could rough them up, you could break a kneecap, that sort of thing. And so they go and they get money for Tommy, and then they turn it in. Well, this is a just merely a basically a on the job training for French. I mean, he has to figure out if this is something that he wants to do, and Sue is there to make sure that he actually can do the job. So they go around to various different businesses and houses and stuff like that, and they start collecting money. But a lot of the times, they always seem the person they talk to always seems to have a bad guy or four. And so while Sue talks to the gentleman who generally owes the money, that leaves French to hold off the bad guys, to hold off the henchmen, so to speak. So we see a lot of various action. Um, Now, before this goes into a rut, we find out that all of a sudden now Big Tommy is being asked to go and help a fellow gangster. That's right, Barbarossa, who played by the mighty Tony Todd, seems like he's getting his book skimmed off, and so by one of his employees. So he wants Tommy to go ahead and take care of it, and and we find out that Barbarossa is not exactly telling the whole story here. And so we find out that we find that out that Barbarossa is not, he's just not the innocent victim here. He's actually sort of an instigator. Of course, this leads Sue and French to, it leads them to a crisis. Um, each man has their limit. And while it seems like Sue doesn't really have his is way down the line from French's, we find out that he does have a heart, and so the two pair up to basically to try to escort the person that Barbarossa is looking for. They're going to try to escort them out of harm's way, and this leads to a tremendous gunfight. Now, normally I would just end that here, but I wanted to comment on this because this is really weird, and this is the first movie, The Debt Collector. There's another one called The Debt Collector 2, or The Debt Collectors, I think it was. It was first Debt Collector, then Debt Collectors. So they did something really goofy in this movie, and it was like last minute. You had to know it was last minute. They didn't. I mean, the original movie. I'm trying to figure out how they got to the second movie because there really wasn't room for a second movie. If you watch this movie, you'll understand that. There's no room, there's no storyline, there's nothing that would indicate that these two would return in another movie. But they did. Sort of takes the dramatics out of this one, because this is actually pretty damn fun. And it has a decent story. It's a little bit episodic, but that's okay. That works for me. Works for most of us who watch Scott Adkins movies. It sort of has the same vibe as Avengement. It has the same sort of vibe as far as that goes. But wow, the acting in this movie, especially by Louis Mandylor, is really good. Louis Mandylor steals this movie. Scott Adkins brings the heat as far as the fight go, but as far as the acting goes and where the real heart of the movie goes, Louis Mandylor takes it. I really was impressed with the general who played Big Tommy, a gentleman who I've never seen before, Vladimir Kulich. He was really good too. I mean, I really liked his character a lot. And Tony Todd, yeah, Tony Todd. People forget that Tony Todd can do heavies. He's not just a horror actor. He does a lot of dramatic movies, westerns, and remember him in The Rock. I don't listen to that soft shit. So he has a lot of range. So this is actually this is actually pretty good. It has a lot of heart to it. You really like the two gentlemen. You get to really like Sue and French. You could definitely see that Scott Adkins and Louis Mandylor had a lot of chemistry here together. A lot of chemistry. It shows. This is another movie that Jesse V. Johnson directed. He has directed a lot of Scott Adkins movies. I think I heard that he's done 7 or 8 movies with Scott Adkins. I know I did one called Triple Threat. I reviewed that on my blog. Triple Threat was actually pretty fun. Actually, I might have actually done it here. I have to double check. But I did do Triple Threat, and I liked it a lot. I like this as well. I thought it was a lot of fun and good action. The fights were strong. They didn't show Scott Adkins as being a mere Superman. He gets his ass whooped. I mean, he takes some heat. He's not afraid to take a punch, that's for sure. And I love that about Scott Adkins movies. He's not just Superman where he's just going to kick everybody's ass without getting scratched. I appreciate the fact that when he does fight, he looks like he is fighting. So there's a lot to like about the Debt Collector. A lot to like. It's not just your standard Scott Adkins vehicle. There's much more to it. Highly recommend this. I got my copy here at the Old Family Video. But it's out there. It's not too hard to find. Amazon, eBay, secondary markets, Facebook Marketplace. I'm sure you can be able to find this movie pretty easy, as well as the second one. I have not found the second one yet, but I intend to. I'm a little leery about it based on the first movie. I'm a little leery watching about it because I've already read some of the reviews for the second one, and they weren't very complimentary because I think a lot of people really were invested in the first film, and I think they're like me in the sense that there's no reason for a second movie. There's no reason at all. The first one is exactly how it should have been. I really enjoyed it too. All right, so that's the Debt Collector. there are a couple of special features on here. Some deleted scenes that are pretty funny, worth checking out. So yeah, so if you're into martial arts, you're into Scott Adkins, you're into gangster movies, this is a movie for you. So thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll be back with another one shortly. Again, Merry Christmas to you and yours, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.